In this video, we shall take a closer look at centripetal force. Centripetal force is a type of force that is associated with circular motion. So let's see how this works. We know that if an object is executing a uniform circular motion, such as shown here. So in this diagram, this object with mass m is moving in a circular trajectory with constant speed v. So the direction of motion for this object is clockwise. For example, last time we saw how such an object would accelerate towards the center of that circle. And that acceleration is called the centripetal acceleration. And the magnitude of this centripetal acceleration equals the square of that constant speed over the radius of that circular trajectory. And the direction is always pointing towards the center. So if the object is here, the direction of that acceleration is there. And then we talked about Newton's second law. According to Newton's second law, net force acting on an object will give rise to an acceleration, where the net force and acceleration are both vectors, as we know. So in this case, if there is an acceleration, the acceleration that we call the centripetal acceleration, then there must be a net force that contributes to that centripetal acceleration. And according to this equation, namely Newton's second law, the direction of that net force must also point in the same direction as the centripetal acceleration, namely towards the center of that circular trajectory. So if the object is here, then the direction of that net force must be going towards the center, as shown there, because that is also the direction of the centripetal acceleration. When we substitute the expression for the magnitude of the centripetal acceleration in this equation, we see that the magnitude of that net force that is involved in a uniform circular motion, such as the one shown here, will simply become mv squared over r, where v is that constant speed that is involved in a uniform circular motion, and r is the radius of that circular trajectory. So the expression on the right is what we call the centripetal force. So it is the force that corresponds to centripetal acceleration. At the same time, we also see the centripetal force is a type of net force. So when we say it is type of a net force, something must produce this centripetal force, or combination of other forces. When they sum up, that produces the centripetal force for an object moving in a circular motion. So let's see some of the examples. Assume that you have a piece of rock that is being swirled around in a horizontal circle. So that is the center of the circle, and that is that circular trajectory, roughly. And let's say the direction of motion of this object is that way. Assume the length of that string is r. If the mass of the rock is, say, m, and the speed is always constant, let's call it v, as it moves around in that circular trajectory, then the direction of that centripetal force must be towards the center of that circular trajectory. So the direction where the object is there is that way. So that is the centripetal force in this case. But as we have said, the centripetal force is a net force. It must be provided by something. And in this case, it is the tension in the string. The tension goes like that as well. As the string is being pulled by the finger of the person holding it at that point, So you see from the free body diagram, we know the acceleration is also that direction. So we say the net force, in this case tension, and therefore the centripetal force, equals mv squared over r. Another example. Let's assume that you have a car that is going around, say, a roundabout. To good approximation, this is a circular motion, let's say with radius r. So as the object, the car in this case, is taking that curve like that, it would accelerate towards the center of that roundabout. So that is the centripetal acceleration, and therefore it has centripetal force. So the question is, in this case, what is the force that is providing the centripetal force? Because after all, centripetal force is just net force. The answer is the friction between the tire and the surface of the road. As the car takes that bend, it tends to slide in an opposite direction. So in order to avoid that slide, you must have a static friction acting between the tire of that car and the surface of the road. And that static friction is the one that is providing the net force so that this object can execute that circular motion. So that static friction indeed is the one that is providing the centripetal force. And we write that as mv squared over r, m being the mass of the car. Now let's look at the following numerical example. A car is driven at a constant speed over a circular hill of radius r and then into a circular valley with the same radius r. So that is the hill and that is the valley. They both have the same radius. Also, as the car is driven at the top of that hill, the speed is v, and as it goes at the bottom of the valley, the speed is also v. At the top of the hill, the normal force on the driver from the car seat is 0 newtons. The driver's mass is 60 kg. Calculate the normal force on the driver from the seat as the car passes through the bottom of the valley. So let's see what happens, what are the forces that is acting on the driver as he or she is at the top of that circular hill. Of course, at the top of the circular hill, the direction of that velocity is rightward. So the direction of motion is rightward. So that means the centripetal acceleration is of course towards the center, as always like that. And there are a couple of forces acting on this driver. The first one is the weight of the driver, and the other one is the normal force from the seat on the driver. Let's call it N top. So at the top of the hill, the net force acting on the driver, or the centripetal force for that matter, is the weight of that driver minus that normal force, N top. And from Newton's law, that must be the centripetal force, ma, which is the mass of the driver, v squared, that speed squared, over the radius of that circular trajectory. So the weight is 60 times gravity equals the mass. Let's for now write the centripetal acceleration as quite simply AC. The mass, as we know, is 60 kilograms. So immediately you see the centripetal acceleration is given to be the same as the gravitational acceleration, 9.81. Now let's see what happens at the bottom of that valley. What are the forces acting on this driver when the car is there? Now the acceleration, the centripetal acceleration, is upward. The direction of that velocity is leftward. So what are the forces acting on this driver? One is the weight. The other one is the normal force, N, let's call it NB. So the bottom position, the net force, or the centripetal force, equals the normal force from the seat that is heading upward minus the weight. And that is the centripetal force, MAC. we want to determine the normal force on the driver from the seat. So N sub B equals the weight of that driver plus MAC. The weight of the driver is 60 kg times gravitational acceleration, 9.81. M, again the mass of the driver, is 60. AC is just G. So you get 120 times gravitational acceleration, which turns out to be 1,177 newtons. That's the normal force on the driver from the seat as the car passes through the bottom of the valley. And that solves the problem. Thank you for watching.